We often suffer when we think things happen to us. But if we are honest, we will notice that things only happen around us. And some things may even happen to this body, but they don't happen to us. And in this sense, it is true that all suffering is in the mind. There may be pain, there may be loss, there may be people blaming you and smearing your name. But that is other people doing things around you or within your field of awareness. And to suffer these things is to fight and resist that reality. Before there was life on earth, there was no suffering. So it has to exist in the mind of a conscious being. We can all have these awakening moments in our lives. And sometimes it can be a small moment where maybe we're mad at a family member for being late. And then we find out they were helping a broken down car change their tire. And then we don't feel bad. We know that they were helping someone in need, and more in need than we were, for our party or whatever. And then we calm down, we relax, we accept, we're not mad, and we have a moment of peace. And that is when a moment of truth and insight can create an awakening moment in us. And oftentimes in meditation, we can have these moments where we realize we're hanging on to something from the past, or we're obsessing and fixating on some worry about the future. And whether it's being creative or if it's simply letting go, we can create the time for reflection and contemplation and even moments of stillness where these insights and creative ideas and new ways of seeing our own suffering and how we are the suffering creators can all give us more opportunities to have these awakening moments. It really all stems from that same mindset of desires leads to envy, because it's not enough to just want something. We want to have the most things. We want to make sure that other people don't have what we want and can't have. So just tuning in to that underlying nature of that lust for pleasure and stuff and admiration and this aversion to pain and blame all prevents us from actually enjoying what we have in this moment right here. After the Buddha obtained enlightenment, he famously did not teach a word for quite some time until someone asked for his teachings. And then more people asked, and more people asked. And then he taught nonstop up until his death. And I think that is really the way. Preaching rarely works. And it's much better to, like with anything, be the example. And if your practice is working, then people who are interested will notice. For a lot of people, especially people who have been depressed for a very long time, depression can become their comfort zone, and it can feel safe to them. and they might not know who they'll be without it. And it stems from this separateness that we feel. And when we feel separate and not connected, we say, I am depressed. I am this separate, depressed entity, instead of witnessing and saying, there is depression here. And then we can create peace around it. And that's the start of healing. Yeah, as soon as we label our emotions, we are creating a barrier to those emotions. And we are no longer dealing with the emotion, we're dealing with the label. And so now we've created an entity. And instead of this change of sensations, we are noticing this, we're creating a permanent entity. And it's not a real entity, because if it was real, we wouldn't need to label it. We would just know its presence. And so all labels create a filter through which we see the world as it is. And whether it's depressed and pessimistic or delusional and optimistic, both are missing the reality of the present moment, which is always more fascinating than a single word. I love Jim Carrey's metaphors and his acting perspective, and how he talks about realizing that Jim Carrey was just another role he was playing. And he's right. We can feel stuck in these roles. If we become trapped by these false identities we create, then I do think that that is one cause of depression. When we think that it is these material problems that are causing our unhappiness, we are ignoring that truest fact that Jim Carrey and so many other successful people have shown us, which is success, money, fame, praise, and adulation won't bring happiness, and that those problems will still be there. Maybe even more so, because we have gone further away from that source of peace within us. You know, the more we try to achieve things for our happiness, the further we get from the true cause of happiness. So some people will see their whole life is about material possessions and bank account numbers, and they may post photos of jet skis and cool stuff. But what is the joy and love and contentment in their life? These are the real questions. Before, we lived in societies and we just lived in the woods where there was no money and everyone was equally a trillionaire. They literally owned the whole forest. Anything they want, they could just take it. These people were happy and content living in homeless, as we might say today, but really living in their true home there. And so whenever we are thinking about our purpose in life, the more we realize that it's not these modern standards that will determine the quality of our life. It's not what they show on TV that the rich people have, or what the movies show that we should all be aspiring to. Action, achievement, effort are wonderful and should be enjoyed enthusiastically. But if we sacrifice this moment for some imagined future where we will finally have the life we can be happy, a lot of people wake up one day and realize they missed the point.